Welcome back, patreon.com/the Derrick Lamon Experience, your one-stop shop for your gaming news. Also, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc., etc. Of course, this is the Week in Gaming. What? I have no idea what that's about. Anyway, I was trying to figure out how to do this because apparently, from what they're telling us, this year's Game Awards is going to be pretty big. It's going to be a big one, like one you should not miss. Now, the thing is, you guys are hearing this if you're on Patreon on Saturday, and if you're in the free feeds, you're going to get in its normal time slot on Monday. I was going to do like a two-parter and cover some of the stuff. I don't know how I want to do this. So you're going to hear it in its normal time spot because I couldn't figure out how to navigate it. Sorry about that, guys. I appreciate but I appreciate you guys sticking with me. So by the time you hear this, whether it's on Patreon or Spotify or Apple Podcasts or YouTube or Amazon Music, whatever, the Game Awards have already aired. I will have a Game Awards recap that will be available. And if you're on the free feeds, it's going to be on Patreon, but I'm not going to lock it behind the paywall. So you just need to go to the Patreon and you can find the stuff there. Simplest way for me to do it. In audio form, I will have video of my live reaction to the Game Awards that will be behind the Patreon paywall. So I just want to let you know that. Before I get started, I want to thank everybody for a good year. I was toying with the idea of maybe not doing this anymore as a result of a lot of stuff that happened last year, and I was looking for relief this year, and unfortunately wasn't that much better. A lot has happened this year. So just trying to get better day by day and take things one moment at a time. But I want to thank everybody who listened to anything this year or took part in anything, watched the stream, just participated in any way. I want to thank you very, very much. There's probably only going to be like, I don't know how much news there'll be once we actually get to Christmas. So I don't know. But other than that, I have already started working on content for next year. Some of it's actually already scheduled. So I will see you guys over on Patreon in the new year. If you're not subscribed to the Patreon and you're listening to this on the free feeds, by all means, subscribe. There's a free tier where sometimes I do drop stuff and then other things are behind the paywall, and that's just the way it is. I'm sorry. But again, I'm not busting you over the head for anything. I am very, very reasonable as far as pricing goes. So I hope that everybody understands that. But anyway, let's get down to business. We always like to start off the show whenever there's rumors with grain of salt. None of this has been confirmed, so take this with a grain of salt until you hear otherwise. Anyway, apparently there's some information on Sony Ben's new game. It's apparently a military shooter. Job listings indicate it's a live service game with a foundation from what they built in Days Gone. Now, again, take this with a grain of salt. We don't know anything. There's a little more I have to say about this, but they did say what their new game was. They used basically the world they built for Days Gone to kind of build this particular game. So I do think there's some credence to that portion already. Based on a UI designer's portfolio who worked at the studio from 2022 to 2024, we have potential new information according to MP First. UI concept suggests the game is a third-person shooter with a military theme. Features include customization, ranking system, modern weaponry, etc., hints of crafting systems, and an XP-based ranking system. I'm not going to say that they're trying to make the Call of Duty for PlayStation Studios or anything like that. We shall see. We don't know how true this is. I remember these, again, number one, take this with a grain of salt until we hear otherwise. I remember before Sucker Punch showed Ghost of Tsushima for the first time, and everybody's like, yeah, Sucker Punch is working on a Western, and da-da-da-da. It's like open world Western. It's like, oh, okay, this sounds kind of cool, maybe. And then they showed us Ghost of Tsushima, and it's like, whoever started that rumor had no idea what they were talking about. No idea whatsoever. So, should be good. We'll see. I don't know. Again, we don't know how true this is. if you're listening to this again, it's after the Game Awards. Maybe we've seen something, maybe we haven't. Again, just check out the Game Awards recap. But I don't know. I'd like to see something from Sony, Ben. Um, what is that guy's name? I can't even think of his name. He is kind of crying and whining like a little fucking. Never mind. John Garvin. John Garvin. And he's never gonna hear this, but even if he does, I'll tell him, like, you need to calm the fuck down. He got mad that they made one of the bots in Astrobot into Deke, and he's like, they're watching Deke's legacy down, this, that, and the third. So he cried about that, and then when Sony did the 30th anniversary video, like the sizzle reel, he's like, oh, so you just forget about Ben's studio and what we've done and this, that, and the third. It's like, bro, you can't have it both ways. And number two, you don't even work for fucking Ben's studio anymore. So like, shut the fuck up, please. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, let's get down to brass tacks. Not too much, but enough for us to get a show. So this news just came across my desk earlier today, and this comes from Eurogamer. Employees at From Software owner Katakawa are reportedly thrilled about a possible Sony takeover. They are reportedly optimistic about a potential buyout from Sony due to frustration with current management. Katakawa suffered a ransomware cyber attack earlier this year, but employees were left disappointed by the response from current president and CEO Takashi Natsuno. As a result, employees are said to be thrilled at the prospect of acquisition by Sony, according to a new report from Japanese outlet Bunshun. Well, here's the thing. I'm going to say this really quickly before I get back to the article. Insomniac was acquired by Sony not too long ago, and about this time last year, there was the huge ransomware leak where we saw a bunch of stuff from inside Insomniac's vault. Stuff for Spider-Man 2 DLC that we never got, and we're never going to get because they've confirmed that it's not going to happen. We saw, alpha Wolverine footage and stuff like that. So them being acquired by Sony isn't going to stop like ransomware leaks and stuff like that. I'm just saying. Like, anyway. Let's see. Where was that? I'm sorry. Quote, that's because a certain number of employees who were dissatisfied with Nasuno administration, which didn't even bother to hold a press conference after people's personal information was leaked in the cyber attack. They expect that if Sony were to acquire the company, they would get rid of the president first. Cyber attack against Katakawa included video streaming platform Nico Nico, as well as personal employee information as part of 1.5 terabytes of stolen data. Former chairman Suguyo Katakawa, part of the company's founding family, was reportedly surprised but appeared positive about a Sony acquisition, according to a Bunshun source at the company. Katakawa himself resigned from the company in October of 22 following allegations of bribing an official at the Tokyo Olympic Games. Katakawa denied the charges. Conversely, economic analyst Takahiro Suzuki told Bunshun Katakawa had little to gain from the acquisition. Katakawa will lose its independence and management will become stricter, he said. If they want to keep developing their business as freely as they have until now, the acquisition would be a bad choice. They'd have to be prepared for publications that don't lead to IP creation being put under scrutiny. News of a Sony possibly acquiring Katakawa emerged from a Reuters report last month. The following day, Katakawa acknowledged the takeover interest from Sony, and Sony has acknowledged it as well. They just asked that people don't report on it too much. Still, the company has received an initial letter of intent to acquire the company's shares, but no decision has been made at this time, said Katakawa at the time. So the news has in part led to a sharp increase in Sony's stock value in Japan, which is currently the highest since 2000. 24 years, that's insane. As the Wall Street Journal reported, stock value has been on the rise for the past month following strong financial results from Sony and its profitable game segment. As for what's next from Software, President Hidetaki Miyazaki, stated a sequel to Elden Ring is not in development, but the company does have multiple projects in the works. So, it seems as though there are some people who are really 100% behind this, and it seems like a lot of people at Katakawa want this to happen. They kind of want Sony to come in, and it sounds like clean house a little bit, to be completely honest with you. I understand these data leaks are becoming way too common, but if the company doesn't at least come out with a press release at bare minimum and say, hey, this is what's going on. Unfortunately, we have the personal information of some of our employees, yada, yada, yada. They didn't say anything, and that's just not good. And if I was an employee of the company and my personal data was out there for the world to see, I'd be pretty fucking pissed too. So I can understand why they would want a stronger fist to come in and rule there. They're excited about this. I would imagine that this deal gets done. And everybody's like, well, the FTC is going to block it. They have no jurisdiction over Japan. This is this is Japanese business. The FTC has nothing to do with this, and they're not going to have anything to do with this. So, if I was a betting man, which I am not, I would be willing to bet dollars to donuts that Sony will be acquiring them. And then I don't. Now the thing is, would From Software become a Sony first party studio? I'm going to say no. Sony acquired Bungie, and they're not considered part of the PlayStation Studios family. So I don't know. I think that there's more than From Software that they want. There's more that they gain from this acquisition than just having From Software. So, but I do think the deal will go through. That's just my opinion. In other news, this has we were just talking about Sony Bend. I forgot I had this article down. Days Gone Remaster could be gearing up for a Game Awards announcement. Well, by the time you guys hear this, we will know. Back in September, right before the initial official announcement of Horizon Zero Dawn Remaster, multiple leakers reported that Sony Bend's Days Gone would be receiving a similar enhanced remaster. Of course, the Horizon Zero Dawn leaks turned out to be true, and so it was safe to assume that the Days Gone would be next. While we have yet to get an official announcement, Reset Era user Dex3108 noted that the Steam DB listing for Days Gone has seen an uptick in activity over the past week, suggesting that work is going on behind the scenes in some regard. With 2024 Game Awards set up to go live on the 12th of December, many are wondering whether this will be the place and time that Days Gone Remastered is finally announced. We won't have to wait long to find out. Neither will you guys, because by the time you hear this, we will know if that's a thing. Here's the thing. If this happens, I would assume that they're going to do the upgrade path. I have the PlayStation 4 version, so I would assume it's just going to be the $10 to upgrade. Why the fuck not? This will be probably the worst generation in gaming in recent memory, because the tech is better, the hardware is more powerful, but we're still getting nothing but remasters. And essentially, I'm not gonna lie, I am PlayStation Nation all day long, but I'm also Xbox and Nintendo and PCs, whatever. But we've got nothing but a bunch of remasters from Sony. This Horizon Zero Dawn, Uncharted Legacy of Thieves, basically a Grand Theft Auto 5 remaster. What else? We got a remaster of Final Fantasy 7 remake, The Last of Us Part 2 remaster, The Last of Us Part 1 remake. A lot of the big Sony titles have been remasters from the last generation. So I'm just asking, they're saying that the Game Awards is going to be huge. Is Sony holding out for the Game Awards because they know that they're getting a lot of negativity based on what they've shown or actually lack thereof? Maybe this is to tide people over while we wait on the next Sony Bend game. I don't know. Sony's not gonna beat the allegations. They're just not. It's been a bunch of remasters in PC. Actually, I'm sorry, Spider-Man 2018, but that was no. Spider-Man 2018 also a remaster. So, they I don't know. The back half of the PlayStation 5 cycle better be freaking packed. That's all I can say. Because if we're just gonna keep getting remasters, why would you have people invest $400 or $500 in a PlayStation 5, whether you got the digital or the disc version? Why would you have people invest $700 in a PlayStation 5 Pro, or $1,200 if you got the PlayStation 5 Pro 30th anniversary? It's a lot. It's a lot for minimal return on the investment. So to Sony, I say, what are you gonna do? And the thing that makes it worse is the fact that the files were there in the Insomniac leak, so we know that there was some extra content for Spider-Man 2. I don't know, you got to do something. You got to do something. I know Insomniac is a decent. They're a pretty decent sized studio. I guess if they're not doing anything with Spider-Man 2, since they've told us that, I guess all hands are on deck for Wolverine, but we shall see. But I don't know. I wasn't that crazy about Days Gone in the first place, so I'm like, do I really want a remaster of this? But it's $10, so why the fuck not? I would assume it's going to be $10. In other news, this comes from our friends over at Tweaktown. This is very interesting, and I got to tell you, I think this actually sounds right. Apparently, Ubisoft headed towards privatization and dismantling in 2025, industry experts predict. Video games industry expert Juice Van Drunen believes that Ubisoft will be privatized and dismantling in 2025 as the French company plots takeover fail safe. Industry expert Juice Van Drunen predicts that blah blah blah. Video games industry expert and data analyst Juice Van Drunen has dire predictions for Ubisoft after a string of failed games, years of controversy, numerous creative and financial restructurings, and costly mismanagement. Ubisoft isn't in a great place right now. It's to the point where Ubisoft is said to be considering partners in an effort to buy out all remaining company stock and take the game's maker private. The idea is to go private before someone makes a hostile takeover attempt. Tencent is one such partner, and rightfully so. Given the share position in both Ubisoft and Ubisoft's principal shareholder, Ubisoft's majority shares are in the control of the Guillemot family under a company called Guillemot Bros, of which Tencent has a 49.9% stake. Oh. So yeah, they've got to make a move, because that just leaves 51%. Like, they have to make a move now. New reports say that Ubisoft shareholders are currently involved, meaning a plan could be executed in the coming months. Some industry experts like Juice Van Drunen, founder of the now absorbed analyst firm Superdata, believe that the French publisher will essentially be made private while it sells its pieces of itself off. In his latest newsletter post, Van Drunen writes, quote, Ubisoft is headed for privatization and dismantling in 2025, with the share price plummeting from $28.19 to $12.30 year over year. Wow. Company has become an attractive takeover target. Its valuable assets, particularly Rainbow Six Siege and the Assassin's Creed franchise, could be worth more separately than together. The upcoming Assassin's Creed Shadow faces stiff competition from PlayStation's Ghost of Yotai, and recent failures suggest deeper organizational issues beyond individual game performance. Ubisoft's development approach remains stubbornly outdated in an era demanding player engagement and community building. Without a fundamental shift in how they develop and maintain games, they risk further alienating both investors and players. The XDefiant shutdown isn't just another failed launch, it's a symptom of a company that insists on catering to a passive audience while failing to recognize the urgency to rethink distribution. I've said it before and I'll say again, and it's interesting because this next story actually has to do with Ubisoft IP. They're in trouble. Point blank period. There's just nothing good about what's going on over at Ubisoft right now. I did not know that the shares had plummeted to that cost. $28 to $12 year over year. It's like $16 a share. That's insane. That is insane. So no, they would look prime for a takeover, and that's why they're scrambling right now to try to go private, because man, that's the thing though. With an IPO, you take the company public, and my God. Here's the thing. I believe in the ownership of intellectual property, and I would never sell off anything that I created unless I was just at the point where I'm like, hey, I can't do this anymore. But there would be certain caveats that I would have. I would only sell a portion of the shares. I would maintain a seat on the board, and I just can't ever fathom giving away something that I created. I just can't. And this is very, very interesting. I can't believe it got this bad, but Ubisoft has done a shit job. Speaking of them doing a shit job, Michael Ansel claims Beyond Good and Evil 2 development hindered by problems between managers. Rayman and Beyond Good and Evil creator Michael Ansel has shed more light on the development issues faced by Beyond Good and Evil 2, blaming management conflicts. Sequel was originally announced back in 2008, and despite a re-reveal in 2017, there's still been no sign of a release anytime soon. Ansel left Ubisoft in 2020, saying he was leaving the video game industry entirely to focus on a new career in wildlife. That's a hell of a spin. Going from gaming to wildlife, that's a hell of a spin. Now, in a new interview with Super Horror, Ansel has given his view on what went wrong with Beyond Good and Evil 2 during his time at the company, saying he felt that clashes between management were the main issue. Quote, on some projects, we set ourselves huge challenges and take on teams with passion, but without knowing how long and complex the road ahead will be, Ansel explained. Passion is a fabulous energy, but it can also lead to clashes between enthusiasts. On Beyond Good and Evil 2, for example, there were too many problems between managers. The art director wanted to redo everything over and over again. The game director wanted to make a generated dungeon game, and I was dreaming of a space adventure. We simply couldn't agree, and the game director took the project in other directions. In this type of situation, the teams are thrown around and don't even know who's in charge and who's making the decisions. Producer is supposed to bring order to the situation, but that didn't happen. Yves Guillemot even had to go down to Montpellier to get things back on track, but that wasn't enough, and the game director continued his stubbornness. Ansel also stated that while he was annoyed to have been cited in reports as one of the key reasons for the game's issues, he did take some responsibility by not speaking out more. Quote, when I read in French newspaper Libé, I assume, I don't know, that I was the one running the game and asking for changes, I thought I was going to choke, he recalled. Beyond Good and Evil 2 is the one game where I don't think I ever questioned this a decision. I'd be delighted to discuss with any detractors. At the end of the day, it's all a case of passionate managers not getting along. I believe that some time ago, those people were dismissed and the project found a certain balance with new managers. Management problems are, of course, very damaging for teams. All this goes to show that it's not an easy job, a lot of egos and lots at stake, with clearly room for improvement in terms of human management. He added, quote, there wasn't just one big villain, but a whole series of key issues that remained unresolved at management level, including myself. I have my share of responsibility and I should have defended the project better, been more present and more conciliatory with the staff. Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot claimed in 2020 that Beyond Good and Evil 2 was coming along very well. We know that's bullshit because it's the end of 2024. We still know nothing about this game. After being asked to provide a development update on the game during an earnings call following Ansel's departure. 4 years later, however, in some 16 years since the sequel's initial announcement, Ubisoft has still shown nothing substantial relating to the game, except for CGI trailers. Despite this, it maintains that it remains in development, and a 20th anniversary edition of the first Beyond Good and Evil, released earlier this year, contained a new mission which the publisher said reveals more about the narrative link to Beyond Good and Evil 2, showing Ubisoft's enduring commitment to the franchise. I think it's a wash. I'm going to just say it. I think it's a wash, and I don't think that the problems that Ubisoft is having are helping at all. I think that they're in a hell of a fucking situation, and yeah, I think they better go private before they lose everything. I think it's a wrap. Point blank period. Point blank period. Here's where we are. Deal with it. Or don't. I don't know. In other news, really quickly, the Epic Game Store will give away 16 free games over Christmas. Epic Games reportedly plans to offer players a host of free games this month. That's according to ever-reliable data miner Bill Kuhn, who claims the promotion will launch on December 12th alongside the Epic Game Store holiday sale. Epic has run similar Christmas promotions over the last couple of years, and this week's free Epic Game Store title hasn't been revealed, as usual, with the company instead saying it plans to offer a mystery game. Writing on Deal Labs, Bill Kuhn claimed tomorrow's free game will be available to claim for 1 week. Then, beginning on December 19, a mystery free game will be given away each day for 15 consecutive days. They will be able to claim for just 24 hours, excluding the last one, which will be free from January 2nd through 9th. Epic Game Store is currently giving away Lego Star Wars, The Skywalker Saga, and Bus Simulator 21 Next Stop. Had I not already bought the Skywalker Saga, I'd be all over that, but I already have it, and I actually bought it from the Epic Game Store. They're available to claim for free until 8 a.m. Pacific Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. BST on Thursday, when they'll be replaced with the first mystery free game. Amazon is offering Prime subscribers over 25 PC games at no extra charge in December. They include the enhanced edition of Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2, The Outer Worlds, Star Wars Bounty Hunter, Tomb Raider Underworld, and Overcooked 2. Nothing on there for me. Also, this is very interesting. Xbox insiders can now stream select games they own on the console. The feature is supported on Xbox Series X and S and Xbox One for Xbox insiders and the Alpha Skip Ahead and Alpha Rings, who are also Game Pass Ultimate members. It's available in all 28 countries where Xbox Cloud Gaming is available, and the full list of supported titles is viewable here, and I'll provide you guys with a link to that. Last month, Microsoft started letting Game Pass Ultimate members select games they own via cloud streaming on PC, phone, tablet, handheld, and most devices with access to a web browser. At the time, it said support for the features will be coming to Xbox consoles and the Xbox app for PC in 2025. Supported titles include Assassin's Creed Mirage, Baldur's Gate 3, Cyberpunk 2077, Final Fantasy XIV, Hogwarts Legacy, The Witcher 3, Wild Hunt, Star Wars Outlaws, and Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2, with many more to come. The Xbox Insider program lets players offer feedback on the latest Xbox system updates, as well as in-development features and games on consoles and Windows 10 and 11 devices. Players interested in signing up to the program need to download the Xbox Insider Hub for consoles or PC. Microsoft recently confirmed the next wave of titles coming to Xbox Game Pass for console, PC, and Xbox Cloud Gaming. Headline additions to the service in December include Indiana Jones and the Great Circle and Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, both which are available now. I started playing a little indie. I love Indiana Jones, so it's like right up my alley. A lot of people aren't fans, but it's not my business, and I don't care. But yeah, more games available. And then lastly, this comes from our good friends over at Nintendo Life. A rumor the Switch 2 may support Samsung's upcoming micro SD cards for higher transfer speeds. In 2024, the Switch's transfer speeds leave a lot to be desired, but that might be one of the wrinkles Nintendo is hoping to iron out with the Switch 2. Speculation surrounding a new job listing is to be believed, thanks GamerInc. The latest chatter from the Switch 2 rumor mill is all about micro SD cards, specifically Samsung's upcoming SD Express cards, which the company revealed earlier this year. Samsung claims that these micro SDs can reach transfer speeds of up to 800 megabytes per second, a noticeable bump on the current Switch's 60 megabytes per second on the branded SanDisk cards and 150 megabytes per second max on the SanDisk SDXC card. And it looks like Nintendo is hoping to support it in the future. As flagged by Super Metal Dave 64 in a recent YouTube video, Nintendo of America is currently hiring for an electromechanical engineer to join its technology department, according to the job listing. The role's requirements include experience with transmission line theory and how it constrains practical PCB design, experience with high-speed signaling and power delivery on PCB designs that contain elements such as PCIe, DDR4, MIPI, SD, SD Express. It's the last SD Express note that has got the alarm bells ringing of Super Metal Dave 64 and others. If Nintendo is after somebody with knowledge of the SD Express tech and Samsung is utilizing said tech in an upcoming product, then it's only a matter of time before the two were linked together. There was even speculation that the upcoming micro SD range was developed in collaboration with Nintendo after Samsung announced the cards as being born from a quote successful collaboration with a customer to create a custom product. Cheap, low power alternative that offers something of a middle ground between current standards and high end competitors. Certainly sounds like it could be Nintendo, but who knows? Games are getting even bigger, and while the likes of SD Express transfer speeds are not a scratch on some of those boasted by beefy PCs or next gen consoles, it might open the doors to even more impossible ports making their way to Nintendo hardware in the future. As ever, despite what some of the rumors would lead you to believe, this is far from any sort of confirmation. Nintendo is still keeping shum on all things Switch 2 and will likely stay that way until the console's official announcement at some point this fiscal year. Talk increase of transfer speeds is all very exciting, but let's not forget, it's still speculation for the time being until we see something. You should also take this with a grain of salt. I should have put this at the top of the show, and I did not. I apologize for that. Anyway, short show, that's all I got for you guys. I'm recording this on Wednesday night because the Game Awards on Thursday night, and then I'm going to record a recap on Friday of that, but I will have the video of the Game Awards, and that'll be available on the Patreon, but that will be behind the paywall. I'm going to go ahead and end this like I end everything else. Believe in yourself first and foremost, because if you don't believe in yourself, of course, nobody else will believe in you. As always, my name is Derrick Lamon Jackson. You guys have a good one. Peace out.